Tamashloke Bhakti Naishtiki.
By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 8, Prayers by King Kunti, text number 14. Antastha
sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi Swamaya Vurnodgarbham Vairatyaya Kurutantate Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi Swamaya Vurnodgarbham Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi Swamaya Vrinodgarbham Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi Swamaya Vrinodgarbham Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi Swamaya Vrinodgarbham Vairatya Kurutantave
Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Swamaya Vrinodgarbham
Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha sarvabhutanam Atma Yogeshwaro Harihi
Swamaya Vrinodgarbham
Vairatya Kurutantave Antastha Sarva Bhutanam of the living beings Atma Soul Yoga Ishvaraha the Lord of all mysticism Harihi Supreme Lord Swamaya by the personal energy Avrinod cover Garbham embryo Uttara Kurutantave the Mahan of Maharaj Guru.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. Translation with repetition. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart
as the Paramatma.
As such, just to protect the
progeny
of the Kuru dynasty,
he covered the embryo
of
of Uttara
by his personal energy.
by his personal energy.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism can simultaneously reside within everyone's heart or even within the atoms by his Paramatma feature, his plenary portion. Therefore, from within the body of Uttara, he covered the embryo to save Maharaj Parikshit and protect the progeny of Maharaj Kuru, of whom King Pandu was also a descendant. Both the sons of Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu belong to the same dynasty of Maharaj Kuru. Therefore, both of them were generally known as Kurus. But when there were differences between the two families, the sons of Dhritarashtra were known as Kurus, whereas the sons of Pandu were known as Pandavas. Since the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra were all killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, the last son of the dynasty is designated as the son of the Kurus. That's the wonderful answer in the Bhagavatam. Pamagyanativiranthasya jnananjanashalakaya
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So it's a very beautiful verse that we have today. It says, Antastha sarva bhutana atma yogeshwara harihi swamaya abrinat garbham vairagyah kurtantave. Another name of Uttara is Vairagyah. Vairagya is the daughter of King Virat. So since she is the daughter of King Virat, her name is Vairagya. Vairagya Kurutantave. Kurutantave is the last heir, the last hope of Kuru dynasty. Vairagya Kurutantave. Antastha sarva bhutana. So since the Lord is situated in everybody's heart, Antastha sarva bhutana, not just human beings, but in every living entity. Antastha sarva bhutana. Atma Yogeshwara Harihi. The Supreme Lord, who is also known as Yogeshwara, or the Supreme Mystic, is situated in everybody's heart as in Antastha Sarva Bhutana, Atma Yogeshwara Harihi. Swamaya Abranat Garbham, Vairagya Kurutantave. Swamaya Abranat Garbham, because he is present in the heart of every single living entity, he is cognizant of what's going on. So knowing what is the situation, by his energy, by Swamaya Abranat Garbham, he covered the embryo of Uttara. The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, Yogeshwara Hari, resides within everyone's heart as Paramatma, Antastha Sarva Bhutana. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, Vairagya Kurutantave, he covered the embryo of Uttara, Swamaya Abranat of Uttara, Vairagya, by his personal energy, by Swamaya. This is the verse that we have. So if we read the translation carefully, the Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So there are many things which are told in this one verse. Just for our simple understanding, if we break it down. So there is mention of the Lord who is residing within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. It's a very interesting thing because often people ignore this or are not aware of it, that the Lord is there in our heart as Paramatma. And so somebody is there in the heart. We know that the heart beats. We usually say it is the heart or it's the soul or here, as per this instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's actually the Lord who is residing in every one of our heart as the Paramatma. And who is that Lord? He is the Lord of supreme mysticism, Sri Krishna. It's not just some ordinary person. He is the Lord of supreme mysticism, Yogeshwara. And what did he do? He is present in our heart. He covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So he has his own energy. And by the presence of his own energy, or because of his own energy, he can do something which is inconceivable. Otherwise, it's impossible. So, these are all very powerful things that Bhagavatam or our Vedic scripture reveals about our own life. That in our life, apart from the soul, which is covered with these two coverings of gross body and the subtle body, there is also the Supreme Lord who is residing as Paramatma. And he is not just some ordinary thing who is residing inside our heart. He is the Lord of supreme mysticism. What does that mean? Actually, he has got so much of energy. Some of the things which are very inconceivable can also be done by him. Like in this case, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So we will talk about three things in this session today. One thing which is unknown to people. There are many things which are not known to us. But there is one thing which is grossly unknown. One thing which is obvious but it is not known. One thing which is unknown to people. And then what is the greatest fear that everyone has? The greatest fear that people have, and how that is not so justified. And how to get the direction from the Lord. Let's see the purport. The first section where Prabhupada is saying that the Lord of Supreme Mysticism can simultaneously reside within everyone's heart or even within the atoms by his Paramatma feature, his plenary ocean. Therefore, from within the body of Uttara, he covered the embryo to save Maharaj Parikshit and protect the progeny of Maharaj Kuru, of whom King Pandu was also a descendant. So, if you see this aspect of our life which is not known to us is something very nicely revealed in the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And to understand what is that feature of our life which is unknown to us, I want to quote a conversation which was happening between death and life. So, there was a conversation which was happening between death and life, and death asked, "Why is it that people are afraid of me and are always hopeful of you?" So who is asking this? So it is the question which is asked by death to life. Why is it that people are afraid of me and they are always hopeful of you? Interestingly, life responded that I am a sweet lie and you are a harsh truth. So why is it that death is a harsh truth? It's because the time of death, everything is snatched away, it's taken away. Nothing belongs to us. And life is a sweet lie because it always gives us the promise that today things are not in control, but tomorrow things will be alright. I have a hope that it will be alright tomorrow. Actually, this conversation leads to something very important or poignant in our life. We also live life like, this is a sweet life. We all believe that things will be alright or things will go as per what we have planned. That hope keeps us going, keeps us sticking. But things happen in a different way, and ultimately we all die. We all have to die. This is the reality. With the birth, death is already destined, it is already there. It's just a matter of time. But the light that we have, or that hope that we have that this life is sweet, is such a big lie that it doesn't allow us to see the truth. Never allows us. So very interestingly, you see that there are people also who come to temple. They also worship the Lord. They come. It appears that they are doing some sacrifice, they are doing something, and they are religious. They are, at least in their mind, they have this feeling that, I'm not that bad after all. At least once in a week I'm going or I'm trying to do something. But then the question comes, if people are really coming, they are visiting all these places of pilgrimage, they are coming to the temple, they are, apparently appearing very religious. Where is the problem? What is happening that, the transformation in the heart is not happening? Actually, this question was asked to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur very nicely. That, people are going to different places, like the places of pilgrimage, they visit different kinds of temples, they appear to be very religious. Why is it that there is no transformation of the heart? What is that transformation of the heart that the Vedic scriptures are expecting us to have? So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, people are visiting definitely to places of pilgrimage, they are traveling all over the place. You see there are some people, like recently I was hearing from one of my friends who had taken his parents to Dwarka for pilgrimage. And I said, what do you do? So he said, I went and took dip in some river in Narmada river, visited all these places and came back. That is what exactly our Vedic scriptures are telling, and not the purpose of visiting the religious places. That it is not meant to go Tirtha Salilena Karhisach. Yasyatma Buddhi Gunape Tridhatuke. Tirtha Salilena Karhisach. It is not meant to just go and take dip in some holy water, holy river. Now there is going to be this Mahakumbh, which is going to happen in next year? January. 25 or 24? 24. Which happens once in 12 years. And if any one of you have been a part of this, I have attended once in 2001. There was also Mahakumbh in Allahabad. Hundreds and thousands of people will be there. Lakhs and lakhs of people. They come with this hope or the faith that if I'm taking bath or if I'm taking dip, something will happen, some transformation will happen. But it doesn't happen. That is why Acharyas, when they come and when they see with their laser vision, they point out what is the mistake. People are going, they have some altar in their home, they are also worshipping, they also do something. You ask people about Krishna, what do you know about Krishna? Oh, we have a Bal Gopal Kumar at our home, we worship them, we visit temples. Unless and until somebody hears from the sadhus who are authorized, bona fide, and who have given the proper understanding of the Vedic scriptures, the transformation in the heart will not happen. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the example, even if you are eating very nice, healthy, nutrient food, but if there are worms in your stomach, then you will not get any energy, no nutrients will come, because it is taken away by the worms. So what is it that the worms that we have, even though we come to the temple, we worship the Lord, interesting thing is we have a selfish motive. We want things to happen as per our own goal, as per our own desires. We want, oh Lord, give me blessings, give me nice health, protect my family, give me promotions. Those kind of things we ask. There is a selfish motive in our coming to the temple. And the second thing is, we are also victims of our bad habits. And as long as these two things are there inside, there is a selfish motive to come to the Lord, that Lord, I have this plan, you have to fulfill. Rather, Damodar, I am coming here, fulfill my plan. Actually, that is not the way it works. We have to understand what is Radha Damodar's plan and work as per that. But since we are selfish, we want our plans to be executed by the Lord, and we are victims of our bad habits. The transformation in the heart doesn't take place. Very interestingly, Prabhupada says this point very emphatically, that how we are tiny and we are meant to follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord. There is a class that Prabhupada has given us in Bhagavatam. I think it is 3rd canto or maybe 5th canto, one class on Bhagavatam. It was probably given in New York, where Prabhupada says how everything in this world is working as per Krishna's direction. And one of the examples that he quotes is, if you go to an ocean, the ocean has got miles and miles of water. The width you can't see, the length you can't see, the depth also you can't see. It's huge huge body of water. But since the Lord has told that your limit is here, it never crosses that limit. It doesn't, the ocean water, huge body of water, it does not come and flood the city which is next to that. We have an ocean, Boston is a coastal town. But you don't see that the ocean is coming and overflooding the town. Because the Lord has told that this is your limit, and the ocean follows that. It has to follow and it remains there. Another example which Prabhupada gives, very interesting. In India, what is the speed limit that we have when we are driving in a car? What is the speed?
No, 70.
I mean, I'm saying in general, obviously people don't follow the traffic and there's no speed limit. But what is the maximum speed people go? Assuming that the road is good, traffic is less, what is the speed?
100 kilometers.
100 kilometers per hour. Even if you go in 100 kilometers per hour in India, probably then you can feel that the car is almost shaking, or it has reached its limit and somehow the car is moving. But here we go at a higher speed. Maybe we go at 120, 130 or 130 kilometers per hour. Easily we go at 80, 100 miles per hour, so far faster. When we are sitting in a flight, what is the speed of the flight? It's about 700, 900 kilometers per hour. Right, so that's why about from Bangalore to Delhi, it's about 2,000 kilometers. So you reach almost in 2 hours, Bangalore to Delhi, because the speed is about 900 kilometers per hour flight. You know what is the speed of, even in flight, when you go at 900 kilometers per hour, if there's a turbulence, then they say, fasten your seat belts because we are experiencing some hostile weather and you have to be careful. We experience some kind of vibration, unsafe, those kind of feelings come. So this earth is rotating the sun at what speed?
Almost 1 lakh kilometers.
Around 1 lakh kilometers per hour. 1 lakh kilometers per hour. Do we ever feel that it is shaking, or it is there is a feeling of fear that what will happen to me? It is going because in 365 days it has to cover that huge radius of rotating in that place. But we don't feel that. Yet we think it is all happening randomly. The Lord has designed it in such a way, as per His direction, the earth is rotating. So the point which Prabhupada is mentioning, or our scriptures are telling, that Supreme Lord, He has His plan, He has His directions. We have to follow His directions, not that we have our own tiny brain. It comes up with some ideas and we come and stand before the Lord with a selfish desire that this should be good. No. Very interestingly, Bhagavad Gita talks about the mentality that we have and the presence of the Lord, which we are unaware of. The first thing that I was telling you about. It's a verse in the 18th chapter, 61st verse. It says, Ishvaraha sarva bhutana pratyasya arjuna tishtati. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra ruhani maya. Very, very powerful verse. Of course, these verses, when we hear from the bona fide source, like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, it strikes us. There is some kind of revelation that we experience. So here it is mentioned, Ishvara sarva bhutana pratyasya arjuna tishtati. Actually, we all of us, we are given a vehicle, like that car, which we are the driver. Yantra rudhani. Yantra rudhani, we are driving this car. And the car is nothing but our body, which is given to us. But unfortunately, Brahmayam Sarva Bhutan, we are going from one place to another with this one goal that I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy my senses, I want to indulge, I want to do this, I want to do that, with that. Because there is Brahmayam Sarva Bhutani, because of the Maya of the Lord, there is a so Maya, Yantra Rudhani Maya. Because of the Maya, material energy of the Lord, we are forgetful what is this body meant to be done. What I am supposed to do with that. So I am going here and there without aimlessly, only with one goal that I have to enjoy. But what the verse is also telling, Ishvaraha sarva bhutana pratyasya arjuna tishtati. We are not aware, none of us, we don't even ever feel that there is another person unknown to us who is sitting in my heart. And that is Ishvara Sarva Bhutana, not just human beings, every single Sarva Bhutana, every single living entity, be it an animal, insect, tree, whatever, reptile, bird, everywhere in the heart the Lord is situated. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana Pradyasya Arjuna Dashrati Brahman Sarva Bhutani Yandra Rudhani Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Even though this verse is talking about that, the presence of the Lord in our heart, about whom we are not aware, that the passenger who is there with us, always traveling with us, we are not aware of it. How do we know this? How do we understand that the Lord is residing in our heart? So I want to tell a story very briefly, because this is a very powerful story which is narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, it's a story spoken by Narada Muni to Prachina Barhisa, and he speaks about one man named Puranjana. So this man, Puranjana, was also a king, and once he climbed a mountain, and he looked at the northern direction of the mountain, and when he looked at the northern direction of the mountain, he found that there is a city, and the city is made up of 9 gates. And the city of 9 gates is, there is an inhabitant in that city of 9 gates, it's a beautiful lady, who is guarded by this 5-hooked serpent, followed by 11 soldiers. And when this Puranjana looked from that top of the hill, this city of 9 gates, which is resided by this beautiful lady, who is guarded by this 5-hooked serpent, and then there are 11 soldiers, he got very attracted to this lady. And then they get married, and they were living in that city of 9 gates, peacefully, blissfully, enjoying their senses. And his fame and all spread all over, that Puranjana is a nice king, but he's busy, with his wife, enjoying. And slowly time passed by. Puranjana was so busy in this sense gratification business that he didn't realize that there is this king who is coming here on the top, if you see. His name is Chandavega. And he is coming with this horse, and he had a daughter and a son. And the daughter was Kalakanya, and the son was Prajwara. So this Chandavega, when it came to attack, he was having 720 soldiers behind him. And he came to attack the city of 9 gates. But this Puranjana was so busy, he thought that I should enjoy some more, my time has not come. But the Chandavega attacked this city of 9 gates. And the Kalakanya, the daughter of this Chandavega, she embraced Puranjana. And that embrace was so disastrous that all his energy, everything was sapped, was taken away. And they forcibly took him out of the city of 9 gates. He didn't want to. And then this whole city of 9 gates collapsed. Prajwara, with that fire, it burned the city of 9 gates to ashes. Very interesting story. Actually, this is the story of our life. And then, because at that time, Puranjana was thinking about his wife. He was very affectionate to his wife. When he died, he was thinking about his wife, and with that thought, when he died, he took birth as a girl next life. His name was Vaidehi, and she got married to another king called Malaya Bhaja. And this king Malaya Bhaja was a religious, spiritual king, and this Vaidehi was engaged in devotional service, in doing service to this king. And the king, as it so happens, when the time of death came, because he was enlightened, he was spiritually awake, so he gave up all his kingdom, goes to the forest, and he quits his body there. So the second thing that I was talking about, that there is a greatest fear of each one of us, which each one of us we experience, which happened in the case of Vaidehi, when her husband died, and there was a funeral pyre over there. She was crying helplessly, bitter crying, that there is nobody who is going to take care of me now. And she was crying very helplessly. At that time, there is one person who comes, who was actually there with Puranjana even in his previous life. He was always there, but Puranjana never used to look at him. Puranjana always used to ignore him. The person's name was Abhigyata. He was his friend who was traveling with him, with Puranjana all the time. But Puranjana never used to bother, never used to be cognizant of his presence. This Abhigyata again came when this body of that Malaya Dvaja was burned to ashes as a Brahmana, and said, "Why are you crying?" And then she told that I have all this, the safety, my love, my hope, is going to assess what will happen to me. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling unsafe. What will happen to me? Same fear is there in each one of us. That is why we try to build relationship with our family members, with others, so that at least somewhere, someone will come to my rescue if there is some problem, if there is some difficulties. We want that to happen. Somebody should be there who can understand me. But Abhigyata is actually something, the literal meaning of that is unknown. The person who is unknown to us. That person who is unknown to us is nothing but the Paramatma, the Lord who is residing in our heart. He says that the first law of living life in this material world is we come here alone, we go alone. Nobody goes with us. No matter how many relationships we try to build, whatever we try to do, when we have to go alone. This is the first law. Nobody can change it. But mind you, when the person is going alone, there is someone who is still accompanying. That is me, Abhigyata. That is, I am the Supreme Lord who is seated in the heart as Paramatma. Without the Lord's presence, this body will not function. Because spirit, soul and body, there is no compatible things. It is only because of the presence of the Lord that our eyes are able to see, our ears are able to hear, we are able to taste because of the presence of the Lord, we are able to digest because of the presence of the Lord. Without His presence, it is impossible. And that Supreme Lord is our biggest friend, our best friend. Yet we are always looking at outside things, Bahirmukha, Antastha. When we turn towards the inside thing and look at the Paramatma, look at the Lord who is seated in our heart, we have no reason to fear. There is no cause for fear. We are never alone. We are always there with that Supreme Lord who is our best friend. But this knowledge is unknown, Abhigyata. When somebody becomes purified by the process of devotional service, then this knowledge gets revealed, Jnata. That is there in Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bhagavad Gita, there is in the 10th chapter, there are Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita which comes. The first Chatushloki, first verses. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samamita. The Lord says, Krishna said, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the Supreme Lord. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. From me, both the material and the spiritual world is coming out. I am the supreme proprietor of all these planets. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samamita. When somebody becomes aware, becomes cognizant, he gets to know about this. Iti matva bhajante ma. One engages in devotional service. Iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samandita. With the knowledge, with this right knowledge, when one gets it, he engages in the process of devotion. Buddha bhava samandita. With his feelings. With devotion, he engages in devotion. This is the truth. Unless we experience this truth, we understand that the Lord, there is a Supreme Lord who is the proprietor and controller of everything in this material world. Everything that we can see, manifested and unmanifested, is coming from Him. When we get this knowledge, then what we can do? Iti matva bhajante ma. Then we have to engage in devotional service. What is the process of devotional service? Which is mentioned in the next verse. Machitta madgata prana bodhayantah paraspara kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramantascha. Machitta madgata prana. A person who is engaging in devotional service, when they see each other, they discuss the topics about Krishna's pastimes. Machitta madgata prana bodhayantah paraspara kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramantascha. Bodhayanta, they explain the topics, they explain the Supreme Absolute Truth. They discuss, and by the process of discussion, kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramantascha. They get nourished, and the other person who is hearing, they also get nourished. And in the next verse, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yena mamo prapanti. Tesham satata. If somebody engages in this kind of devotional service throughout his life, always, Tesham satata yuktana, constantly engaging. Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam priti purvakam, and he is engaging in devotional service, dadami buddhi yogam. I give that intelligence to him by which he can come back to me. Because this abhigyata is unknown to people. They have no idea that the Lord is there in our heart, except for that Lord, everything else we are aware of. Because we are always bahirmukha. We are using this vehicle for going to different directions without knowing that the direction has to be taken from the person who is sitting in the heart. When we turn inwards, by the process of devotion, He gives direction. He gives intelligence. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. I give that intelligence by which we can come back, we can return to Him. This is the real purpose of human life. The purpose of human life is, as Kunti Maharani, we will see in the future verses, she will be praying that Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi. Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridha Pandu Solution. Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi. We have attachment to different things, including our family members, relatives, strong, very strong bonding. But Kunti Maharani is praying, and that is what is the goal of every human being, is that let us develop this attachment to the Lord, because that attachment is permanent. And once we develop that permanent attachment, let us sever the attachment towards this material things. Sneha Pasam Imam Chindi, Dridham Pandusham Vishnu. When we develop a strong attachment to the Lord, naturally we can get rid of all these material attachments. Otherwise, this material world, as long as we have desire, as we saw in this case, this story I told very briefly, very beautiful analogy story in this case. As long as we have material desires, we have no place in Vaikuntha. We can't go back. We continue to remain in this, in different bodies, keep changing, keep accepting, and keep going through the same process of birth, death, existence. That's why Bhagavatam says this beautiful verse, Santam Samipe Ramanam Pratikradam. This is a verse which is spoken by Pindula. Santam Samipe Ramanam Pratikradam, Vitta Pradam Nityam Imam Vihare, Akamadam Dukha Bhayadi Soka, Moha Pradam Tucham Aham Bhaje. Santam Samipe Ramanam Pratikradam. Actually, we have no idea. This is the biggest ignorance of people, that the Lord, who is the source of all pleasure, is there in our heart, very close to us. Santam Samipe Ramanam Pratikradam. It is there. Like, if you see the example which Prabhupada gives in this, not in this purport, in another place in 7th canto, he says, if you take 2 pieces of wood and you rub it, then fire comes out. So that means the fire was already there inside. It's just the process of rubbing which ensures that the fire comes out. Similarly, the Lord is always there. He is there in our heart, but we have no idea of His presence. The process of devotional service, by the process of chanting, by the process of hearing, heart gets cleansed. Then we become cognizant of His presence. To the degree our heart is purified, to that degree we can get the direction from the Supreme. This is the truth. Santam Samipe Ramanam Pratikradam, Vita Pradam Nityam Imam Vihaya. So she is telling that for pleasure, I was going around here and there without knowing that the real source of pleasure lies within me. He is always seated next to me. A beautiful verse. I am such a fool that I have given up the service of the person who, being eternally situated within my heart, is actually most dear to me. That most dear one is the Lord of the universe, who is the bestower of real love and happiness, and the source of all prosperity. Although He is in my own heart, I have completely neglected Him. Instead, I have ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires, and who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. This is what is the story of each one of us. We have no understanding or no knowledge of that Supreme Lord. And this revelations of Vedic scriptures don't strike us, because the network of illusion is so strong. We feel there is happiness in these people only, and I am going to live with these people forever. Biggest illusion. Each one of us is going to die, and each one of our near and dear ones also will die. They can't give us happiness. And I ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires, and who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, illusion. Very interestingly, I want to talk about a story of a king and his 4 queens. And probably many of you would have heard this, but it's still worth remembering. So there was a king who had 4 queens. The first queen, he was very, very affectionate, he had a lot of care, love for this first queen, and he would enjoy with the first queen all the times, because the first queen was very beautiful. And the second queen was, in terms of beauty, she was more beautiful than the first queen. But the king was not very, in terms of enjoyment, king was not so much indulging with the second queen. But if he has to go to any social function anywhere, then he will take his second queen, and he will show this my second queen. She was very beautiful, very well dressed, and those kind of things. So the king will always take the second queen to all the social functions. The third queen, if king needs any advice, if he has to take some good counsel, then he'll go to the third queen. And the fourth queen, king, is always, he is always neglected, never used to pay attention. So the fourth queen, maybe the right one on the green, in the green sari, she was anorexic. She was very weak. She was very, very pale, and she was living like that. As it happens in all of our lives, it happened in the case of the king. The king was on the deathbed. So he got to know that his time is coming, and it's time to say goodbye and go from this world, which I'm saying it in a very nice way, but it doesn't happen like that. Nobody wants to die so peacefully. So when that moment of reckoning came, the king thought, okay, I have taken care of these 4 queens of mine so nicely, at least somebody will come with me. So he goes with great hope to the first queen, saying that, oh queen, will you come with me? I have always enjoyed with you. You have always been party to my enjoyment. Will you accompany me? So she told, no way, and she just went away. Second queen, whom the king used to show and take her to different places. When the king approached the second queen and told, this is what I have got to know, that I'm going to die. Will you accompany me? He said, no way. Rather, once you are dead, you are gone, I'm still young, I will get married to somebody else. So hearing that, the king was completely heartbroken, as if somebody has stabbed a knife. Then he goes to the third wife. Third wife has always given him good counsel. With great hope, the king goes to the third wife and says, will you accompany me now that I am going to die? She said, I will, but only to the graveyard. Beyond that I can't. And then when the king was hearing all these things from the other 3 queens, fourth one, without being asked, she came and she told that I've been waiting for this moment. When will you turn towards me? I will accompany you. I will accompany you. You know who's this king and who are these 4 queens? Each one of us is actually like that king, and each one of us are married to these 4 queens. The first queen represents our own body. Our body with whom we pamper by giving nice dress, bathing nicely with soap, shampoo, all those things. We take care of the body so nicely, manicure, pedicure, God knows what all things we do. Finally, the body, we have to give it up. It is burned to ashes. Second wife represents our wealth, our assets that we have, which we want to show it to the world. But that also we don't know when the person dies, it goes to somebody else. Either our family members or relatives. How they're going to use, we have no idea, but it goes to somebody else. That's what she told, that I get married to somebody else. Third wife represents our relatives, family members. And relatives and family members can only come to the extent of graveyard. Beyond that they can't. And the fourth wife is actually our spirit soul, which is what goes with the subtle body to the next life. That is what is our true identity, which is always neglected by us. We have never heard what is the need of that spirit soul, which is our true identity. And the spirit soul is always accompanied by the super soul. There is a nice verse of Sudhasit in relation to this. It says, Dhanani bhumo pasvascha goshthe bharya grihadvari jana samsana dehastittayam paraloka marge karmanu go gacchati jiva eka. Dhanani bhumo. Earlier days people used to hide their wealth. Who is that person? Dhanani bhumo. Earlier days people used to hide their wealth under the ground. Dhanani bhumo. So that dhanani, which is hidden in the under the ground, that will remain there. Dhanani bhumo. Pasvascha goshthe. The cows, they will remain in the cattle and in the cow shed. Pasvascha goshthe. Bharya grihadvari. Bharya, the wives are not allowed to come to the graveyard. Grihadvari, they will stay in the house. Grihadvari. Jana samsana. And your family members and relatives, they can only come till the graveyard. Dehastittayam paraloka marge. Dehastittayam. Deha, the body can only go to the pyre of funeral. That is the maximum that the body can go because it is burnt. Then what is paraloka marge? Karmanugo gacchati jiva eka. The soul travels to the another body based on the karma, accompanied by the Supreme Lord. Karma Nubhavachati Jeevaveka. This is our life. This is what is the truth. But unfortunately, we are ignorant of this truth because we are never aware of the presence of the Lord. So, talking about this verse, I will skip this because we have almost come to that. The last thing that I want to talk about is how do I understand, how do I get the direction from the Supreme Lord? There's a very interesting conversation which Prabhupada had with one of the press reporters. His name is Kevin in 1976 in New York. It's there in the Vedas. So the conversation actually Prabhupada, when he was having this dialogue with this man, he asked Prabhupada that his name is Kevin. It's a conversation in New York which is happening. Actually, basically, how do we get that? The conversation was basically he asked Prabhupada, how do you communicate with Krishna? Is there, like, suppose you have to appoint someone as a temple president of a temple, how do you get this communication? What do you see? Does Krishna speak to you personally? How does this happen? So when this question was asked, Prabhupada's one disciple, he was trying to paraphrase, and he said that Prabhupada is asking, how do you appoint someone as temple president, or how do you appoint? Is there just that you see the material qualification, or is there any other way? Prabhupada said, well, Krishna directly speaks to me. Krishna talks to me. So that person didn't understand. He said that press reporter couldn't follow it. What was Prabhupada saying? So then Krishna speaks to you. How does Krishna speak to you? So Prabhupada says, Desa Satata Yuktana Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenama Upayamite. Krishna can speak to each one of us. Krishna can speak to each one of us provided our heart is cleansed. Our heart is free from all the anarthas. Tesham Sadata Yuktana. And that is possible by constantly engaging in devotional service. Then still that press reporter was not convinced about that answer. So how, till that time the heart is not cleansed, what should he do? Then Prabhupada says, if a person is neophyte, if a person has started this process, he has begun this journey, he has to listen to his spiritual master who is an external manifestation of Paramatma. When pure devotee spiritual master's instruction we follow, then Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, then actually we are following the direction of the Supreme Lord. Until and unless the heart is cleansed, hearing the voice of Paramatma is not possible. Because we will be hearing the dictation of our mind and senses. It is only by engaging in the process of devotional service constantly that we will be able to come to a position where we are able to hear the voice of God. So these are the three things that we spoke about. The first thing is, which I mentioned, one thing which is not known to people, that there is the Lord who is seated in our heart, who is cognizant of each of our desires. Each action that we are taking is known to Him. We don't know about His presence. And He is the controller or the director of our wandering. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana Hridya Se Arjuna Tishtati. That is the first thing that we spoke. The second thing is the greatest fear that people have, that there will be nobody who will take care of me. Like it happened in the case of Malay Bhaja's wife, Puranjana's next life, where when Malay Bhaja was burned to ashes, she was having this deep fear. Who will take care of me? I'm so insecure. I'm so unsafe. And that time Abhigyanda comes and says, actually I'm always accompanying you. Look, turn towards me. All this fear that we have, what will happen to me, who will take care, it is gone. Actually the Lord is always the best friend of ours, so always there next to us. And the third thing is how do we get direction from the Lord? That's Paramatma, which we saw in the verses of Bhagavad Gita. Tesham Satata Yuktana Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam. Any questions?
How to see beyond relationships and practice depression?
That's a good question. The answer is it's not so easy, but if somebody is actually engaging in the process of devotion, like Bhakti Sadananda Thakur is saying, without any ulterior motive, there is no selfishness, and there is no But if that bhakti is having some motive, then that is not bhakti. That is where the indigestion is, or the nutrients are not coming to us. That's what he was saying. Because in the previous verse, Krishna says, in Bhagavatam it is mentioned, Savai Kumsam Parodharma Yato Bhakti Radhakshite Ahetuki Apatiyata. That Ahetuki is a very important thing. We always come with some vested interest, some goal, something in our mind to the Lord. So, but when we do it Ahetuki, because this is what is our constitutional position. Sometimes people say that I have been doing some service for X number of days, Y number of days. That means, as if after that I want to take rest, or I want to do something else, or I have been chanting for 5 years, nothing is happening. No, our ultimate goal is to be always engaged in devotional service. It is not like when we go to Vaikuntha, we will sit in one place and just relax, or we can just lie down. No. Okay. Our position is we are supposed to engage in devotion. So when somebody understands that and engages without any expectations, without any other motive, then naturally detachment comes. Vairagya is a byproduct. And transcendental knowledge also.
One more question. So, the people who will think about hurting others or say someone who does a crime, what is the direction that they get from the Lord? Because he will be seated in their heart as well as Brahma. Right? How does it work with those people?
That also Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Matta Svadha Jnana Apohanancha. What is the first line there? Satasya Jnana Vriddhi Sanjivishto, Matta Svadha Jnana Apohanancha. So the Lord is situated in our heart, but from Him also comes the intelligence, remembrance and forgetfulness. So when somebody wants to be forgetful of the Lord and wants to enjoy, the Lord sanctions. So it is when a person who is stealing or doing something, it is not like the Lord will interrupt or something. He will deliberately put him in that forgetfulness so that he feels he is in control, and he continues to do till the time he realizes himself going through so much difficulty that actually this whatever I am trying to do, this independent enjoyment is a source of misery, and he surrenders voluntarily that the Lord will. Moment we turn towards the Lord, Krishna Bahimukha Jiva Bhogavanchara Nikatastha Mayadara Chapatiyadara. Because we have turned our face away from the Lord, so we are trying to enjoy there, and the Maya is captured, has captivated us. The moment we turn towards inwards and we look at the Lord is immediately ready to pull us. But our problem is, we turn, we hear a little bit, we think that we should turn, but then again our past conditioning and habits are so strong that it makes us again go outwards. That we have to check. Yes.
You said voice of the Krishna. Isn't your conscience a voice of Krishna?
It is, you can say, conscience, but to hear that distinctly different from our mind voice or the noise of our mind or senses, it requires purification of the heart. Otherwise, we will get misdirected thinking that this is the voice of the Lord. Usually, our mind is also chattering. It is also giving us justification. Soja, maja, all those kind of things. Don't take up devotion now. Don't chant. What time pada hai? Kaun kare? These kind of things come. But when you hear the words of a pure devotee, they are very, very sharp. Those sharp words, that's why it's called Guru. Guru means heavy. One side you have all the justifications of society, family, your mind, senses, and the other side in the balance you have the words of Guru. Still this will be heavy. Because those heavy words are required to cut this illusion. No, everything is fine, nothing will happen, you go someplace, people will say, we can do everything. It's not true. This reality is, this material world is dukkha. This is place of misery, and this is temporary. But to accept it, you need those sharp words of a spiritual master, which can cut that illusion. Otherwise we think, no, I am supposed to be here, happily with all my members, that kind of thing is very deeply ingrained. It has to be cut. Then this will work. Whatever you sing, you'll be able to hear the voice of God.
When it comes to relationship, what is detachment from? What are we detaching from? Is it
detachment means, so what we think is, I am father of someone, I am husband of someone, I am son of someone, right? So and those people, because they are my family members, I am attached. You are not attached to that person sitting next to you. You don't have any attachment with him. The word mine, aham mameti. Suppose somebody says that there is a car which is parked in the parking lot and somebody has hit a stone and there is a dent. So you hear that and the person comes here and says that there is a red car which is parked which has got a dent. So you realize, okay, even I have a red car. Is it my car? The moment you hear it is your car, you feel so much of pain and anxiety. Maybe the car is really old, it is not of good, it's not of any use. Still that message that there is a dent, you will have an issue. But if somebody says it's a new Tesla or something very costly car which is parked there, maybe the dent is more painful in that case. But just because it is not yours, you will have no pain. Even if it is your old car, it's run down, it is gone, probably there is no salvage of that. Still the moment you hear a car and a dent again, it creates a pain because there is attachment. That attachment is what Krishna is telling that we should get rid of. The stronger the attachment, the bigger the chance of again accepting bodies. And we are not supposed to. In this life you have this family members, relatives, one set of things. By the will of providence they are together and we are considering them our family. Next time somebody else. And the process of birth and death is continuing from many lifetimes. But we have eternal relationship with Krishna. If we revive that relationship, we will go back to God and that's it. There is no more taking birth and there is no more accepting bodies. That's what it is. This is the truth. This is the reality when it comes to accepting. नहीं मैं family members के साथ ही सब कुछ कर सकता हूँ क्या है? No, the first law as that is mentioned in this is we come alone, we go alone. Did you come with your family members? When you go, who will go with you? So these are all the truths which are difficult to digest. Like that's why death and life, that conversation, it's a harsh truth. And it's a sweet life. This life is a sweet life, and we are caught in the sweet life.
So I was disturbed by many of the events over this weekend, right?
Events
over this weekend, right? Like whatever happening in the Middle East, right? What is the devotee's role when it comes to these dealing with? There is so much pain created basically by people who are not spiritually or mentally evolved. Yes, and unnecessary killing happening. What is the devotee's role in this?
Yeah, so good question. So one thing which we have to understand is there is a hidden hand of karma behind our lives, like that verse was talking about. That so you have a different body, you have a different family, you have a different upbringing. These are not happening randomly by chance. Our family members, where we are born. There is a hand of karma which is acting. Based on that, we are getting bodies. Somebody is male, somebody is female, somebody is born to some family, somebody is born in India, somebody is born in here. All those things. These are not by chance. These are based on those karmas. There are some people who are getting the sufferings, some people are not. All of us, we have got our account of karma. That's why we are here. But that account of karma can be burnt by engaging in devotional service. So, but still, it doesn't become immediately nil, that account. You get some sufferings, some problems also come. It is not like by taking to the process of devotion, your life will become like a bed of roses. There is no problem, no this thing. You just change it. It's not true. Because the account of karma is still there. But it can get minimized. The way a devotee sees this, beautiful prayer by Brahma, he says, Tatte anukampam susamikshamanam. Tatte anukampam susamikshamanam. Bhunjan evalma kritam vipakam. Hridbhag vapubhir vidadhana namaste jiveta mukti pade sadaya. Tatte anukampam susamikshamanam. The devotee always feels that the Lord's mercy is always there on me. I don't know what is my account, past karma account. Whatever suffering is coming, it is not because of the Lord. People become rebellious, they attribute different people or circumstances, you are the cause, but a devotee thinks, Bhunjana evatman kritam vipakam. Vipakam, I have done some very horrible things in my past things, because of which some reactions are coming. Token, small reaction, it would have been much bigger, because of the Lord's protection is there, it's a very small one. we have some health issues, we have something. It's all, because of my past karma and suffering. And the devotee does not give up at any circumstances. He doesn't deviate from devotion, from the path of devotion. He continues to engage in that process of devotion. That is how he becomes a deserving candidate to get liberation. Jiveta mukti pade sadayaka. Like a son who inherits the property of his father when the father is no more, similarly, a person who is engaged in the process of devotion throughout his life, as long as he is alive, then he becomes a deserving candidate to come back to God. It's the assurance of God. Does it help?
Yeah.
So we will see this interesting thing. We've been seeing how the Lord is so Bhaktavatsala, how he is a transcendental mystic, how he is seated in our heart and he is looking when we will turn towards him, and the whole transformation can happen. We will see how beautifully this Bhagavatam unfolds. We will go to Kunti Maharani's prayers. Beautiful prayers. Keep coming, keep back. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.